Hi, welcome to a God vlog. Jesus was born and raised in a religious tradition. It wasn't Christianity, it was Judaism. And Judaism long regarded forgiveness, not just as an act that was reserved for God, but as a natural human act arising out of love and relationship with God and with others. And when we forgive, we're acting as an instrument of God. And the Bible's laced with stories of God's forgiveness and human forgiveness as an instrument of God. And Jesus teaches this for sure, but it's not just in the New Testament. He picked it up from the Scriptures, from the Old Testament, from what we know as the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures. And the story of Noah begins with images of an angry, unforgiving God who destroys, but it also ends with a loving, forgiving God who hangs up his warrior bow up in the sky for all to see as a reminder that God, from that day forward, is no longer understood as the God who responds to humankind's sins with destructive anger. God is understood as loving and forgiving. From that day forward, you can hear that, you can understand that as a thread in the story of the Bible. And Psalm 65 puts it like this: "O you who answer prayer, to you all flesh shall come. When deeds of inequity overwhelm us, you forgive our transgressions. O God of our salvation, you are the hope of all the ends of the earth and of the farthest seas." Nehemiah sums it up saying God is ready to forgive, gracious and merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in steadfast love. And the frail humans that God chooses to work through in the Bible find through love, God, beautiful acts of forgiveness, and we can see them in the Bible, and they resonate for all time with love. The book of Genesis actually features forgiveness as a major theme. Genesis begins with God forgiving humans in the Garden of Eden. They don't die for their transgression as was expected, but instead suffer the consequences of their actions, expulsion from the garden, but not death, at least not execution kind of death, capital punishment. And even as they live outside of Eden, God's forgiving of the worst crime. There isn't capital punishment for murder. When Cain kills Abel, the punishment's not death. Rather, care and justice is meted out so that the murderer, Cain, while banished, is protected from retaliation. God acts forgivingly at the beginning of Genesis. And by the end of Genesis, this is really cool, God's people learn to act forgivingly too. Jacob and Esau are twin brothers who so mistreat and connive one another in their youth at one. Jacob defrauds their father in order to rip off the other, Esau. There's no nice way to put this, plain and simple. Jacob steals Esau's inheritance. And that inheritance ripoff went over like it would today. The family becomes embroiled in turmoil, so much so that Jacob fled for his life to another country. And years later, Jacob decided to return with a caravan of his family and servants and livestock, all that he had, to get back to his native land. He wanted to go home. And once back home, Jacob learned that Esau was looking for him. And Esau, by earthly standard, had every right to be angry and to seek retribution, and Jacob had every right to be scared and to be very scared, and he was. But when Esau finally finds Jacob, there is this amazing scene of forgiveness. Instead of ending in murder like the first brotherly dispute in Genesis between Cain and Abel, with Jacob and Esau there's peace and love. Peace and love. It's cool. Jacob approaches Esau bowing to the ground in submission and respect, and Esau doesn't charge with his superior troops to finally gain revenge and retribution. Instead, he charges with love and open arms. We're told in the Bible that Esau ran to meet Jacob and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. They wept. And then Jacob offered much of his wealth to Esau, and Esau respectfully declined, saying, "I've enough, my brother, keep what you have for yourself." But Jacob persists, saying, "No, please, if I find favor with you, then accept my present from my hand." And he says these amazing words: "For truly to see your face is like seeing the face of God, since you have received me with such favor." Did you hear that? Jacob experienced the face of God in Esau's forgiveness. Our acts of forgiveness, our acts today of forgiveness, like Esau, show us and others the face of God. And the experience gets passed down to the next generation in Genesis. At least that's the hope still today. It's no accident that Genesis ends with Jacob's favorite son Joseph providing forgiveness to not just one of his brothers, but 10 of them. Remember that story? Joseph's sold into slavery by his jealous older brothers who acting only a little less like Cain, sell him off and tell their father Jacob that Joseph was killed by an animal. Joseph's enslavement eventually leads to him becoming a very powerful man in Egypt. 20 years after selling Joseph, his brothers end up before him, not knowing it's Joseph, and they plead for food from him as a powerful man. And Joseph does toy with them for a while, seeking a little bit of revenge, but eventually love overwhelms him and he reveals his true identity to them. And the 10 brothers expect a terrible earthly power's way of retribution from this very powerful man, their brother, Joseph, the brother that they betrayed. But instead of acting with earthly power, Joseph acts with heavenly power, with peace and love. The brothers receive kindness and care and forgiveness. Joseph forgives, and he too shows the face of God to those who wrong him. We can hear that Genesis begins with God forgiving and ends with humans acting as God's agents by forgiving others. That's why they see the face of God in the person who's forgiving, because it's God, love, that's providing the forgiveness. It's a beautiful story. It's in the Bible. It's in the Old Testament. It's in Genesis. Thank you for joining me. My name is Scott Elliott. I'm the pastor at Riviera United Church of Christ. Go in peace, knowing that you are loved and that you matter.